Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome here to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So, we're starting a new series tonight. Yes, it's another mini series. We finished the last one last week, which was the Serious Changes. I guess it went pretty good. I think it was a pretty interesting series. I'd done something like it, similar before. I just can't remember what it was, but we decided to do that. Now he's given me another series, which I talked about briefly in my episode of this week on Sunday. So basically what we're doing now is this series will be called Decades 2. It's a second decades-like series. So if anybody who followed or wants to follow can go back and look at the Decades series, in which we did 6 episodes, one for each of the decades leading up to the 20s. So we did the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and then the 2000s and 2010s. We're not going to be doing it that way this time. It's still going to be a decade series, but it's going to be 10 years of a band's history. So it's going to start out, in this case, we're going to be doing Styx, one of my favorite bands. Top 9 band for me, one of the bands of my elite 9, I call them. And we're going to start with Styx's debut and go right through to Kilroy Was Here. I believe that's the title of the album. It's the only one of the albums in that span of time that I don't have, and there's a reason why I don't have it, but we'll get to it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of the albums from in that time pan to show you the difference of how the band evolved over the time. And that's basically going to be kind of the topic we're doing here. It may be different for different bands, but this is the topic we're doing tonight anyways for Styx. So Styx is the band tonight. So let's get it underway. So the first album by Styx, now I don't have the first 4 albums individually. I have them all on this, a double CD, one side for each of the original Wooden Nickel albums that came out starting at the end of 1972, August of 1972. So this is actually a little bit longer than a decade, because I believe Kilroy was mid-year from 1983, so it's probably closer to 11 years here. So we could technically start with Styx 2 if you wanted to be technical, but since it's only one album difference, I'm going to do them both anyways. So Styx 1, of course, started out with a band that had a severe prog thing going on for them right off the bat. Arena rock, stage rock, whatever you want to call it, garage rock, a little bit of all of that mixed in here with their first album. I'm going to bring out the CD, not the CDs, but the booklet here so you can see what the covers of each of these 4 albums look like. So this was the debut album here. Kind of a weird one. I think they're all naked standing in a blurred fire. It's strange cover, really. But most of the stuff on here were kind of covers of other people had written the music and they just sang it. So it was kind of a mishmash album of a lot of different things. And this debut album had James on it. He was playing guitar like he always does, and vocals too, doing some lead stuff. Dennis on keyboards, synthesizers, and also doing lead vocals. And John Kurlewski on guitar, synthesizers. He also did some vocals, more of a smoother voice, I think, than the other 2, and not maybe quite as high. And then the Panazzo brothers, both Chuck and John. Chuck and John. Chuck, of course, playing bass and doing backing vocals, and John doing drums, percussion, and backing vocals. So a good debut album. I don't think it's great. It's kind of a mishmash of everything. There is a Styx sound to it, but there's also all kinds of other stuff going on here. So the second album, which is called Styx 2, this is a cover of Styx 2, kind of a lot plainer, but not as goofy looking, I guess you might want to call it. So the first one was also referred to as Styx 1, but to me it's just a debut album. So this album, much more organized and a lot more original stuff going on here. Whole album's pretty much original stuff written by most of them, and then you've got a few parts that they've kind of well, there's actually just the one song, Little Fugue in G, which is a Johann Sebastian Bach transcribement by Dennis DeYoung. So other than that, everything else is original material. Same band members doing the same thing. Album is a little more concise. Probably their first kind of I would say this is their first kind of a hit album. It's not really a hit. It does have some good stuff on it. A little more rocking on this album, maybe a little bit less prog. Of course, it had Lady, which was the first kind of hit for them. And so they were moving along fairly good here at this point. But of course, they're on Wooden Nickel Records, which was a smaller label. Wasn't really promoting them that well, really wasn't out there driving for their success. And the quality of the albums at the time, maybe not the best either. Next up is this album, which is my personal favorite of the 4 original Wooden Nickel albums. This is Serpent Rising. You can see another kind of a quirky album cover. It looks kind of, in some ways to me, it looks kind of phony. So you got this kind of desert, kind of southwest United States desert kind of scene going on with this transposed snake eggs and some water there. And for whatever reason, there's a boat on there. I'm not really sure what that's all about. But this is a better album than the first 2, I think. Not a lot better in the second one. A little bit more different. A little more proggy at times. And again, attempting now again to do some different sounds like they did on the first album. But all this stuff was written by them. You've got a little bit more written here by just about everybody at this point, or at least the 3 main guys, Dennis DeYoung, John Krulowski, and James Young doing almost all the writing here. You've got some hard rock stuff on here. You've got some proggy stuff on here in points. You've even got a couple of kind of quirkier songs. One from John called Krakatoa, kind of a different sound to it. I believe there was one on here. I'm just looking for what it was called. And I just can't remember it. It's kind of a bit of a funky song. With a bit of a calypso or Caribbean sound to it. So, yeah, so there's a little bit of stuff going on here, but not too far off of what their first 2 albums sounded like. But better at the same time, I think better quality. This one has a better cover to it, maybe the best of the 4 covers. Very kind of proggy looking cover here. Then you've got all of the, again, a little bit more prog here, but a little bit more hard rock too. Well within the same kind of range as the other albums. I personally don't like this one quite as much as the first 3, but then to be honest with you, I haven't listened to it as long. It's only been in my playlist for a shorter time. Nothing really stands out here as being extraordinary to me. At the same time, though, I think that the quality has gotten better again. So that's kind of the Wooden Nickel era of them. It's almost like they're experimenting with all kinds of different stuff, not getting as much promotional stuff, not getting the quality of their albums isn't as great. It really changes with the next album, which I'm going to try and get here because I put half the CDs the right way and the other half the wrong way. Okay, so now we got it here. So the next album up is really their first kind of successful album. One that got some airplay, was on a good label now, but they still didn't get quite the promotion they wanted. And it's kind of the last album, too, with the original cast of characters. And this is Styx Equinox. But this is a first really fantastic album by them. There isn't a bad track on here. I quite like everything on here. There's to me, every song is good or to great. It's got some of my favorite Styx stuffs on here, like Lonely Child, Sweet Madam Blue, Born for Adventure, Lorelei, of course, and even Light Up. Really strong stuff. I think the album cover is vastly superior to anything on the Wooden Nickels as well. And, of course, this is the final album for John Kulilski. He leaves the band after this. Yeah, really good. So this is the first big step up for them. It didn't do as well as, to be honest, I think if they'd had promoted this well and done everything they were supposed to well, this could have been their first major hit. But as it wasn't quite as good as and wasn't promoted as well as it should have been. But at this point, the band is coalescing well. And then they have their first kind of major blow. One of their members and one of the singers leaves. But that doesn't stop them. They move on. They pick up Tommy Shaw, who adds a fantastic element to their music. One that I think really ultimately propels them into the superstardom that they become. So at this point, this album, I think, did better financially wise than Equinox, but I think, in my opinion, Equinox is a better album. But this one has Tommy on it, and the stuff that's good on here is very good. Mademoiselle, kind of the first Tommy Shaw song on the album that he sings. It's really good. In fact, both the Tommy Shaw songs on here are fantastic, with Crystal Ball being the title track as well. This is a good cover. I think the Equinox one's a little bit better. And then, you have the rest of the musicians are the same. The Panazzo brothers, Dennis DeYoung, J.Y., and then they add Tommy Shaw to this to add a element that was missing before. Confidence on the guitar, songwriting ability is much better here with Tommy. The other songs on here, the Put Me On, it's a good solid opening track. This Old Man, another solid Dennis DeYoung vocal. And the other songs on the album are okay. Jennifer, Shoes, and Claire de Lune, Ballerina are all good, solid songs, but nothing spectacular. So I think musically, the tracks on here are better than are on here. But this album is a step up for them by adding Tommy Shaw. So after having done that, they then put all the elements together with Tommy, and they come out with this masterpiece album, which is The Grand Illusion. It's actually the first of their triple platinum albums. The cover is fantastic. It's one of the best covers by any band, really. Definitely a large step up for them here. You've got this little back thing, which is good. You've got the same five guys here: John Panazzo, Tommy Shaw, Dennis DeYoung, J.Y., and Chuck Panazzo all playing. The song selections are much better. You're finally getting some real strong notice on the radio with The Grand Illusion, Come Sail Away, Fooling Yourself, Miss America, and then some of the deeper cuts like Man in the Wilderness and Castle Walls. Really strong stuff. I did mention The Grand Illusion is absolutely one of the killer openings. So at this point now they are a superstar band. They've made it. This is a huge seller. They're doing well. They're now known everywhere. Great album. First of 4 triple platinum albums in a row. I don't think anybody else has done that, to my knowledge, unless it's been recent. So this coming out in 1977. Band is at the peak here. Next album out, they continue on their peak. This is actually my favorite rock album. I like this better. I think the tracks are heavier overall. There's more cohesion here, even more than Grand Illusion, I think. The album cover is fantastic again. Another shot of them from behind. Same 5 musicians playing here. I've always favored this album, even though Grand Illusion was kind of the first one that I heard and was exposed to. I still think this is a better album. The music's kind of divided up here a little bit better. JY getting a couple, Dennis getting the majority, but you also have Tommy Shaw getting 3 songs here. A lot of well-known tracks on here. I'm Okay, Sing for the Day, Queen of Spades, Renegade, Blue Collar Man. These are all pretty well-known tracks for them. Album did exceptionally well. It's my favorite for a reason. I think it's a little heavier than the Grand Illusion. I think it's a heavier album, more of a rocker album. It does have that prog element to it as well. Most of their albums do. I think I got something on here. Anyways, so at this point in the time, hard rock, proggy, great vocals, great harmonies, good sound, good production, well produced, and well put out there. The band is flying on all cylinders. Another triple platinum album for them. So now I'm hoping myself that it's going even further in that direction, but a lot of bands in the 80s changed everything up because prog music was kind of dying. They wanted to do something different. There, I got whatever that was off now. And we came up with this one. Styx Cornerstone. Very different. Band taking a totally different direction here. This is much poppier. They've taken a lot of the bite out of the album and put in there instead more different types of instrumentation, a little bit more folky in some ways, a kind of a soft poppy rock album, but bigger hits. Babe is on here. This is probably their biggest track. Just shot them to the top. But you've got stuff like Lights and Why Me, Borrowed Time. These are all well-known hits. For me, the deeper cuts on here I like a lot. Love in the Midnight and Boat on a River. Both of these are Tommy Shaw vocal songs. I like them both. First Time is on here. It's another well-known track. So they've got quite a few radio staples here. Solid album from top to bottom. Just completely different from this album. Hard rock, prog rock, a little folky there too. Much more folk, much more pop. No hard rock. No, I guess maybe Why Me, you might say, is not Why Me. Eddie you might say Eddie's the heavy song. It doesn't rank to the other stuff. And you're not getting as much vocal stuff from JY here. Pretty much Tommy and Dennis here dominating. The album cover is good. Maybe not as great as its predecessors, but good. So the group has taken a totally different direction. It's moving away from where I wanted them to be, but still good. Next album out. Album cover's not as good. Hello. It's kind of a little bit I guess you might call it kind of theater type cover. Same 5 guys on here again. Tracks. This is more, so they're moving now towards those kind of story albums. Starting with this one. This one's kind of the prequel to the next album. This is their attempt to have a kind of a concept album or a semi-concept album, if you prefer. Some of the songs on here much more poppy than even Cornerstone, but some catchy tunes that did very well for them on the music charts. Too Much Time on Your Hands on this particular, The Best of Times. I'm looking for the other track and I don't see it. Yeah, those are kind of the 2 big hits on it. Too Too Much Time on Your Hand, The Best of Times. Some of the lonely stuff like Lonely People, um, Nothing Ever Goes as Planned, Rockin' in the Paradise. Yeah, some catchy tunes, but much poppier. Even the little synthesizer parts in it. I think this album, to me, I remember when this came out thinking, oh, they gotten even worse than the previous album. I did end up liking both these albums, but initially I was disappointed because I liked the hard rock and I thought, okay, they're finished. That's the end of it. And for me, this was the end of it. I didn't go to the next album with them here. And the next album is Kilroy Was Here. I don't own it. I have no intention of buying it. I don't like it. They moved completely into that synthetic kind of pop, and the title track just couldn't deal with it. I don't know much about the album, to be honest with you. I've never actually listened to the whole album. It's just disappointing. I've never really kind of gotten over that too. But that's where this music went. It started to move that way with Cornerstone, moved further that way with Paradise Theater, and then completely went that way. And that's where I kind of jumped off the bus. So can't really say too much bad. I shouldn't say too much bad about Kilroy Was Here, because I really, other than the one track, I really don't know much on the album. I'm sure there's a couple of other tracks I'm not familiar with, but to be honest, I'm not big on the concern. But that's where the band went. So it went from Styx 1, which is very different, all the way through this malaise of different sounds, hard rock, progressive rock, and then into the pop scene. And, not totally dissimilar from a lot of bands who were doing this style of music, and then in the 80s they switched completely. Now, we did do some of this topic on the last series that we did called Serious Changes, but this is more of a breakdown as how it went, and so that's where I wanted to go with this. I hope you've enjoyed this first episode. It's going to be a little bit longer the first time. Each time I'll try to make it a little bit shorter so it's more within the 10 to 15 minute range, which is where I was hoping this would be, but it's way over. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. This will come out much later because of the baseball. Getting ready to start my baseball season this week, and I've been caught up with that. So I'm hopefully going to try and get some of that done earlier so I can get these out a little bit earlier starting tomorrow. Anyways, take care. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. If you want to leave any comments, you can do that in the comment section. And we will see you next Tuesday night for another episode of Decades 2. Take care and goodbye.